The San Francisco 49ers saw guys like Eric Armstead and Chase Young move on from Santa Clara. But fear not, because this new weapon is impressing everyone. If you're new here, I'm Nate, and we are talking the San Francisco 49ers. It really helps me out if you would tap that subscribe button. Well, Leonard Floyd is a guy that's been around the league for a while. He showed up to voluntary OTAs this week, and I'm feeling more and more positive after hearing how it's going on the field for him and in the locker room. Now, this is OTAs, so I want to give a caveat here. OTAs, they're important. They're real, but they are voluntary. Not everybody shows up. Things are done at half speed. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt, for sure. That being said, there are some individuals who benefit from OTAs especially. Guys like Ricky Pearsall, for example, who are getting lots of extra looks and lots of extra reps, because of guys like Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings holding out right now and missing out on the voluntary OTAs. So this is an opportunity for guys like Ricky Pearsall just to get more reps in. And so this is a win for him. Also, all of the new guys who are learning the playbook. This is a good opportunity for them in phase 3 to really demonstrate what they've learned and then move forward and kind of press all of that knowledge in through action. So I'm really excited about this gentleman. I almost called him a young man, Leonard Floyd. I guess he's a young man compared to me, but he's not that young. Leonard Floyd is seeing a huge benefit out there, and I'm excited to tell you why. I'll tell you more actually later in the video, but first, let's hear what Nick Bosa had to say at Nick Bosa's first 49ers OTA visit, which is kind of an interesting one. But let's go ahead and hear what Nick Bosa had to say about the gentleman. On Leonard Floyd, Nick Bosa said, "I think he's a super skilled rusher, good length, and he's even more athletic than I realized. I think guys like him, when they come to our scheme, the best is brought out of them. So I'm excited to see what potential he has. He's year 9, so I feel like as a D lineman, you can keep improving all the way through 10 years in this league. So I'm excited to see what he's got." I think that's a typo on my fault, I'm guessing, or I don't know. It could be from the transcript. Maybe there was an extra what there and I didn't delete it. I tried to delete all the ums and all that stuff, but man, Nick Bosa is pretty positive about this opportunity. He's excited about him, excited about what he's going to bring, and you love to hear guys like Nick Bosa who are playing virtually the same position as him, or I expect him to. Now, I expect him to be the starter at the beginning of the season, I think, but he has to prove it. He has to make it happen on his own. It's not a guaranteed position. So it is good to hear the perspective, though, from a veteran who's been out there, who's played on opposing. He's not played against him, but he's played on the team against him, obviously, many times. Probably 8 or 9 times in his career, at least. So that's really cool. And I also have something else I want to get to later, but he's a defensive guy who's obviously never matched up against him on the field. Still valuable. A guy who would better know, kind of from a different perspective, would be a guy like Kyle Shanahan, who has the offensive mind, and so he sees a different perspective on the defensive edge. So here you go. This is a transcript from his most recent presser. "Do you have a first impression on defensive line with DL, Leonard Floyd joining it, plus the extra guys? It was cool watching them all run out there together. We were doing some half-speed stuff with the defensive line and everything, and offensive line. Of course, a couple big names like Malik Collins and Drake Jackson not able to be there yet. But it was cool watching them get out there as a group and really do begin the process of them all kind of being together. Leonard Floyd, he's got a lot of length as a pass rusher and experience. What do you see out of him? I just really that he would fit into whatever you asked him to do. That's a good compliment coming from your head coach there. We've gone against him so much in different schemes on different teams, and whatever the team has asked him to do, wherever he has been, he's kind of always been the same player to us. And he gets here, and he is going to do a couple new things and stuff, but he's got so much experience standing up, putting his hand down. He has done a little bit of everything, and the techniques we've asked him to do in phase 1 and phase 2, he has really shown those in phase 3. Again, it's just OTAs. You can't really go too far with some of this stuff, but I feel positive about what he's doing so far. You can only ask the guy to do his best in the first 3 phases, and he's doing his best in the first 3 phases, and so far, he's impressing, so I'll take that. Now, what did Leonard Floyd have to say about about all of this information. Here's what Leonard Floyd had to say about playing with the 49ers. This was really cool. Floyd said on KNBR that the 49ers were always a team that made their presence felt by the way they played. It was the team always from the outside looking in. I knew that the 49ers were one of those teams who always came out and played hard. Every single player came out and played their hardest. They play grown man football. You got to wake up early, eat your breakfast early, and when the 49ers, because it's going to be a physical game. So seeing that from the outside made me want to be a part of that. Seeing them get close past few years, I wanted to come in and help us get over the hump. That's, of course, being the Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to going against my old coach with my new coach. So love that as well. It's an all-around love fest for me right now. I'm feeling overly positive about it, and I know it's still early. There's still a lot to happen, but there are some definite holes left in that defensive line, and a lot of folks feel like Chase Young wasn't who we were all hoping he was going to be. Maybe Leonard Floyd can actually produce some of those numbers. Speaking of numbers, let's go ahead and just look at his stats. He's more than just an edge rusher. I mean, he has to contain the outside, right? But just looking at his stats, my favorite stat on here, last time I talked about Leonard Floyd, we talked about his breakout year, which that did not highlight like I anticipated it would. His breakout year right here, right? We talked about that breakout year, his big year, his biggest year as a player. But today, the stat that I want to kind of focus in on is the number of regular season games this guy has played. Look at it. First 2 seasons, he doesn't get the full season, but he's pretty darn close. Then you've got 2 seasons with Chicago. He plays every single regular season game. 3 seasons with the Rams, plays every single regular season game. That's when they switched from 16 to 17 games. Plays, and then 2023 plays every single game with the Buffalo Bills. So, man, that's awesome. Like, that's the kind of stuff you want to hear. Absolutely the kind of stuff that you want to hear. And he didn't have his best year as a player with the Bills. So, maybe that's an opportunity for us to pick up the guy. But where it matters is this category right here. Because, well, I shouldn't say where it matters. Obviously, to the 49ers, the whole stat line matters a whole lot. But what we're asking him to do and the kind of production you're expecting out of him when you know you're on the opposite side of Nick Bosa, because I'm expecting him to be a starter, is numbers like that. These are the kind of numbers you want to be seeing. So this latter half of his career, those are numbers that I'm excited to be seeing. And that's the kind of production you need out of him. If you can get that production out of him, then that's going to be absolutely massive, in my opinion. That's just my take. You have to let me know what you think. Today's question of the day is Leonard Floyd a starter? He's either 1, a starter, 2, he's a 50-50 guy, which some teams do that, some teams don't. I don't know if that's where they're going to go with it. I doubt it, but some teams like that. And if so, who's he switching with if it's a 50-50? And then number 3, do you see Leonard Floyd as a straight depth guy? I'll be honest with you. I think I've already said it, but I see him as a starter. I'm excited about Leonard Floyd. I think he's going to be starting across from Nick Bosa, and we'll see exactly how many snaps he gets, but I'm feeling optimistic about him and Nick Bosa really putting the pressure on the outside edge. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. One other thing, and we're really out of time. I just want to let you know, I've been trying to beef it up on the community posts lately. And if you are not joining the conversation, you got to subscribe to catch these, because they'll pop up in your feed more if you're subscribed. But just some of these polls have been really interesting. Which divisional game are you most concerned about this season, going into it? A lot of folks saying Rams away. A lot of the media says Seattle away. Historically, you can understand in recent memory why that would be that way. And by recent, I mean like 2-3 years ago back behind that. The last couple of years, happy with our history in Seattle. But then another interesting poll was, who is our wide receiver 3 this year? Most people saying Juwan Jennings. Fair, 100% expect him to be the starting wide receiver 3. Of course, assuming that this holdout, ends positively for him. And I forgot to mention, by the way, in the comments, several people saying on the divisional games that they were big fans of none of them. I hope that's a good confidence. I think that's going to be a little bit tougher this season. I know we swept them last year, but there's we'll see. I hope that you're right. I really do, and I love the confidence. In terms of this one, this was a tricky one because there are so many solid wide receivers on the roster. right now for the 49ers. So I threw out there the 2 draft picks because you have to throw the draft picks out there. I know there are other guys I left off by doing that, but you have to throw the draft picks out there. And in the comment section, you guys, because I knew that I can't just do 4. There are too many guys in the comment section. You guys let me know. A lot of people saying JJ. Appreciate that. Don't sleep on Cowing. Love that. Danny Gray, Ronnie Bell. There's some guys out there who do have a shot at it. I don't personally see them as wide receiver 3. I see them as like wide receiver 4 / maybe practice squad. Like Danny Gray, I don't know if he's going to make the 53 this year, but we'll see. Who's to say? And then finally, the 3 most recent posts I did. This one, who do you hate more? I know hate's a strong word. Someone commented that. I get it. I think Cowboys for me is like that historic hatred for me, that I've hated the Cowboys and I've hated the Cowboys fan base my whole life. Growing up in California, had a lot of people who were big Dallas Cowboys fans, and it drove me absolutely crazy. So big fan of hating the Cowboys. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Seahawks are an interesting one too, of course. If you go past 10 years, maybe you don't really care about the Seahawks, but the Russell Wilson era of the Seahawks caused a lot of damage with the 49ers, so I can understand why people say that. Of course, you got to throw Go Pack Go on there just because it's the stinking Packers, but there's so many other teams, historic ones too, like the Giants, for example, or, Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs, more recent history. There are a lot of teams to hate out there. I had to pick 4. Sorry. I should have done an other like I did in the other one. That's what I should have done. But hey, be a part of those polls. I think it's kind of fun to do the polls. I think it's fun to do just the polls, and the comment section about the polls are so much fun to hear what everyone has to say and kind of be in that comment section, because that's part of the reason I'm doing that. I mean, that's the main reason that I'm doing this, is to hang out with you guys and talk to all of my 49ers fans back home, although most of you are actually not back home in California anymore. So that's okay. We're all over the place. That being said, man, I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling positive about Leonard Floyd. I'm feeling positive about Ricky Pearsall. I'm feeling positive about Juwan Jennings. All of these guys, I'm feeling super positive, and I'm really looking forward to it. As always, faithful, what a time to be alive.